journey starts today. You've got one life to live. Love yourself, be kind to others, break free and let your spirit soar. Empower life with Cleopatra will help you awaken the best version of you. Empower life with Cleopatra. Oh, 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 oh. Empower life with Cleopatra. Oh, 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 oh.
Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Oh my God. Oh, calm down, Cleopatra. Calm down. The excitement is too much. Stop it. Happy New Month, people. Happy New Month. I'm so excited about today's show and about my guest and what we're going to be talking about tonight. But I can see some people are already on the chat. So put something in the chat if you are here. Let me know you are here. Happy New Month and welcome everybody to the show. Welcome, everybody. I have dropped a few questions in the chat already. I have dropped a few questions, guys. So if you are looking at the chat, you will see the questions. So I would like for you to comment on those questions, please. Have you ever, before I start, let me just say this first of all. So let's tell us, have you ever felt betrayed or joined or judged by another woman? Why do you think this rivalry still exists amongst empowered women? And how did you overcome it when you felt betrayed by another woman? Okay. So please, I can see that the chat is climbing. People are joining. So please join, and put something in the chat for me while I go on and introduce my guests. So welcome. Happy New Month, like I said. So good to see you all. My name is Cleopatra Starrett. This is Empower Life with Cleopatra, and I have my fantastic guests here tonight. Like, listen, tonight we're going to be sharing some uncomfortable truths because at the end of the day, this is what we're here for. All right. But before I start, I want to first of all thank my audience, my co-hosts. You guys, you know who you are. And for you joining for the first time, also, you know who you are as well. So thank you so much for your support. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you so much for watching the show, going back and watching it again. And if you want to be a guest on my show, if you want to be a co-host, please send an email to empowerlifewithcleopatra at gmail.com. That's empowerlifewithcleopatra at gmail.com. Right now, if you have any confessions to make, like I always say, confession is good for the soul. Right. So if you have anything at all that you feel you need to get off your chest, all right, it doesn't matter. This is a no judgment zone, right? Please feel free to also join to send me an email on empowerlifewithcleopatra at gmail.com. Now, guys, listen, let me ask you this. Have you ever walked into a room full of women and instead of feeling empowered, you felt this chill of silent judgment? Have you? When you get this sideways glance, people looking at you and like, who does she think she is? The fake smiles, the compliments that are wrapped with, shade or tension. Have you felt before, ladies? Well, if you have, you are not alone. Okay, you're not alone. Tonight, we're going to rip off the lid of some of the most uncomfortable truths that we have to confront ourselves with as women. Okay, as women. So, we're talking about the secret rivalry among women. Now, guys, this is the first of a three-part series, right? We're going to have part two and part three, but we'll be talking about different topics. But this is just the first part, and we'll start with this so that we can just make sure that we calm ourselves for the next two that are coming. Girl, you're in for a treat tonight. All right. So like share this live show with men as well, because men need to know about us as well so they can understand us better. Share it with your frenemies, even not just your friends, but your frenemies. Okay. Now listen, Sometimes we shout this girl power and women supporting women, you know, and all those sort of things. But behind closed doors, is that really what we do? Do we support each other? Why does this happen? Okay. Listen, it's not just talking about the problems tonight. We're also going to be talking about how can we change this? How can we heal this? Right? But before we dive in, massive love to all of you again for subscribing. I have three amazing women with me, and hopefully the third person will be joining. Oh, there's Yellow. Oh, okay. I've got quite a few people already. I'm coming for you. You wait right there, okay? Wait right there. I'm coming for you. We've got three amazing women with me tonight that are going to be helping me deal with this topic, right? But like I said, guys, last month we are trying to hit the one thousand subscribers in June. But this June, this first month or 6 months of June. So please, I need you to share this and keep subscribing, right? I need you guys. I need you guys so much, right? So share it with everybody and let them subscribe, and also comment and share. Do everything that you need to do to support this channel, because we're giving good contents here, right? So my co-host, I've joined. Like I said, I've put some questions already on the chat. So please answer those questions, right? Right. My first guest tonight is Cindy. Welcome, Cindy, everybody. She has been on quite a few shows, as you remember. She's been on, she actually shared her story not long ago when she was talking about her postnatal, being able to overcome postnatal depression. She also was on another show that we were talking about. What was it again, Cindy? We were talking about
marriage,
mistakes.
sex, and
Yeah. Yes, mistakes that we've
yeah.
made and things like that. And we've also talked about menopause,
And
didn't we? We
parenting.
talked
We
about,
talked about parenting as well.
yes, and parenting. So you know, in fact, Cindy is my co-host, right? She's gonna be my co-host. When she has the time, she would be joining me and be a co-host. So is Nevo when she decides to do it. But Cindy is a seasoned IT project manager. She's a passionate mental health advocate. She's a wife. She's a mother of two, and she's a soon-to-be author. Okay. Yes. Her secret a superpower. Do you know what that is? She has a fierce faith, brutal honesty, and she has a heart that refuses to quit. Her message tonight is that healing is possible, even from the invisible wounds that women sometimes leave on each other. You can still heal from it, right? Next, we have Nicole. Nicole will be joining at some point, although she has some issues going on, but I'm going to still introduce her anyway for when she's able to join, right? So Nicole Mitchell, she's a powerhouse in business and global consultancy. Nicole is a senior project manager. She's a company director and a global citizen, having led multi-billion pound programs across the financial technology spheres, law, public and private sectors. But beyond the boardroom, Nicole is a fierce mentor. She mentors youths. She was a judge in the 2024 APM Awards. She's also an advocate for female leadership in technology. She's worked across various continents and lived across various continents as well. She's really a citizen of the world, really. She's led multicultural teams and she brings a sharp and grounded perspective to the complexities of female rivalry. I think she has actually joined now. Has she? Yes, she has.
Wow.
I just introduced her. Welcome,
Technology. Wow.
don't worry, we're here. We're here. Now, finally, Nevo, the incomparable Nevo Burrell. What can I say? Nevo is not just a guest, she's a movement, really. She's a business coach, she's a model, she's a speaker, she's a fierce personal transformation advocate. She believes in, you are what you think and you dress the way you want to be addressed. She's graced runways at London Fashion Week. She's led campaigns for ITVs this morning. She's done the stand up to cancer and more as well. Last week we actually ran a powerful episode on overcoming cancer. If you have not seen that show, please go back and see it. You will never forget her story. Seriously, she's been through a lot, but she's come out smelling like roses, you know. So Nevo also lit up show, and I just uploaded the show last week as well, a few days ago. That we're talking about feminism and femininity. We said, how can women balance feminism and femininity? And trust me, she did not hold back there, and I know she's not going to hold back tonight. All right. So tonight she's here to break down how rivalry keeps women small and how we can rise above it together. So welcome, my queens. Welcome, 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 everybody. Welcome. Now let me say hello to my co-hosts in the chat. Amaka, my darling. Hi, happy new month to you. Thank you for joining. Riri, my baby girl, my ebony queen. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Yellow mellow fellow. Now, like Gary, honestly, I am excited that you're here tonight, and I cannot wait to hear your thoughts and what. Yeah, you said how is this will be interesting. Trust me, it will be interesting. Hello, Maureen, my big sis. Thank you for joining. Edith, mwah, thank you, mwah, every one of you. Big kisses to all of you. Thank you for joining. So now, my queens, my Emperor Royals as well. This is your moment. So please just drop on the chat, answer those questions on the chat first of all, and then let's have this. If you felt betrayed by anybody before that you know about, I'm talking to my co-host on the chat. If you've ever felt betrayed by another woman, please drop it in the chat. Why do you think this happens? Even if women are empowered, they are super women, they do all kinds of things, and yet they still have that little thing about problems with other women. Why do you think this is? Drop it in the chat. If you were betrayed, how did you overcome it? Drop it in the chat. Now to my guests, to my ladies, and I'll start with Neville. Actually, no, let me start with Cindy. Why do you think women sometimes choose competition over collaboration, even subconsciously?
Okay. I'll just drop this before I answer that question very simply. Everything I'm going to be saying here, and I've always said on this channel, is faith-based. My faith is behind every decision and whatever I do.
Yeah.
So the first thing I will say is that usually, number one, the major point is family background. Family background plays a lot into how people behave. If you come from a family of like competition, where you're always competing against each other, and where there's rivalry, and I mean not just sibling rivalry, as in real serious rivalry, where there's a lot of strife and enmity, so that plays one. And secondly, there's the issue of envy and the issue of jealousy. Also, you have inferiority complex can play a key role into this, and lack of confidence can also affect all of this. So I don't want to take a lot of time, so I've just dropped the point so that every other person can expand on it, and I can expand on it later if you want me to. But those are my reasons that I will put forward for now.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. Hello, Robin. Thank you for joining. You lost track of time. Oh my goodness! But you're here. That's what matters. So thank you so much for joining. Not to you. Thank you for joining. Nevo.
Sorry, it's me.
Go ahead.
Yes.
Go ahead, Nevo.
Nevo. Okay. Hi. Yes. No. I actually quite agree with Cindy, because what I was going to say, and you touched on, it's the culture, it's the environment in which someone was brought up. If, as Cindy mentioned, you are brought up to pitch against one another, even your siblings and your other wider relatives, then that is always the case. The women have to compete for men. They have to compete to get the best results, the best jobs, and all those sort of things. And if that is the environment in which people are encouraged to thrive, then it's doing the opposite.
Okay.
I think that's it.
Thank you, Nicole. Thank you for joining. I know you had issues.
It was challenging.
But you're
was challenging, but I'm here. Thank you for having me. I'd like to say hello to everyone. A pleasant good evening, and I'm glad to be here and glad to put in my 2 cents on this topic. Very interesting and very evocative, provocative topic. Just to expand on the point that Neville made, yes, we are competing for scarce resources. I was doing a bit of research in terms of even the pay gap in the US and the UK, and there's still a gap as of April 24. So I guess they haven't, we're still midway into 25, but there's a gap of about 7% between women and men in terms of pay. And also, that point, I was looking at statistics as well in terms of population. We outnumber men. And I was looking at the situation in the US in particular, where it's critical, but we do outnumber men. So yes, we're competing for, positions where, particularly as you move up in the organization, it's men, mainly men at the top there. And I'm seeing that, I'm experiencing that myself at the moment. And to add another layer to this, intersectionality, where yes, women are being paid less, but factor in being a woman of African descent, a Black woman, that adds another layer to it as well.
Is that why they are competing amongst themselves as women? Because we're talking about
that could be part
women
of the reason,
and the issues they have with each other.
That could be part of the reason, because there's scarce resources. Now, I also want to maybe challenge the notion a bit of competition. I know we're looking at, it could possibly be healthy competition if it's managed correctly. And, so looking at family dynamics and all of that, competition, I think, is good if it is managed correctly and if it's not seen as, I'm going to win no matter what I have to do. So it's healthy competition, stretching yourself. I'm perpetually competing against my own self and trying to, so there's those are my initial thoughts, in terms of
nice one.
Yeah,
nice one. I always say,
sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yes, competition is not a bad thing. It is, if it is misused, if it is used to oppress, if it is used to put people down, if it's used to make people lose confidence and diminish somebody's self-worth and erode your sense of self, then that is where the problem is. I think it's probably competition is
totally
absolutely fantastic. Yes.
Totally.
Because it's challenging you to move on to the next step. We don't want to remain in our comfort zone, being in a cozy little spot. We want to get challenged.
Yes.
So that we can do stuff. But when it's the negative slant on it that we don't want.
Amaka has a very interesting point. She says, yes, I've had that experience and it is someone I cared for and trusted and felt very bad. It was a mixture of sadness and hurt and pain, and it led to lack of trust for that friend. So, girlfriends, your own friend will be the one that will backstab you. Look, listen, I cannot even begin to tell you the stories. And it's not like, oh, these are just fairy tales. These are real life stories of women who actually went as far as doing certain things just to jeopardize their own friends because maybe they want their job or they want their man or they want, whatever.
Their life.
There's
been movies about it, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I have someone I know that recently at a place of work where she brought somebody else to come and work with her. And she feels, let me help you. She was looking for a job, brought the person in. When you're in a situation whereby you ask somebody to come and share your pot of rice, and then the person comes, they want the pot, they want the cooker, and eventually they take your house.
They want the landlord of the house.
They want everything. That was exactly what happened to her.
Yeah.
So, and she really went to town with her at work, that she became really stressed, and it became a major issue that even the executives and leadership at work needed to interject. And at the end of the day, she left the job because it got too much for her. So we don't need this amongst women. we are supposed to be supporting each other, protecting each other, not eating and backstabbing and, you know, twisting and creating rumors. And I've had situation whereby rumors have been created about me. And it's like, you know, when you're in the middle of something and you're like, are they really talking about me? What exactly is going on? When did this happen? You know, as in, you're confused.
Yeah.
For what reason?
And you know,
just because they don't,
and
you know,
but
they're
when they see you,
envious.
the fake smiles. When they see you, like,
Yeah. That is why, you know, for me, I always pray for the spirit of discernment. I need to be able to discern who is stabbing me, you know, because you can't be laughing in my face and be pressing the knife behind me, you know,
twisting it.
Yeah. So I need to know. So we all need the spirit of discernment to be able to know who should be close to you, who you want in your inner circle, and the friends that you need to start taking out one by one.
Yes.
I pray for the fraudsters in my life to be exposed.
Honestly, the frenemies, they are the worst.
The frenemies.
The frenemies.
We should not ignore the red flags, and I see
No.
people do that a lot, and don't trust their gut. And I would say, you know, most of the issues I've had have been in the workplace, and you can't, to a certain extent, choose your co-workers. You can by leaving and moving on, but you know, you have less of a choice than your inner circle. And coming back to your point about discernment, yes, I trust what my spidey senses, intuition, my gut is telling me about people, and it's not. I'm listening to what you say, but I'm looking at what you do.
That's right.
Because sometimes you know, they're in opposition. You said, and you've done that. So
that's right.
It's and I would say, fortunately for me, in my circle, because I've been quite exacting and using my senses, I really haven't had that many issues within my circle. It's been more within the workplace where, again, we're competing against these resources, and there are other dynamics at play. We're all looking to move up, and there's some people, and we're seeing it playing out in wider society. We can all eat at the table, but there are some people who see things as a zero-sum game. For me to win, you must lose, and you know,
which is sad, really.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, for somebody like me, I you know, that is why I rely more on the spirit of discernment, because I tend to, like, you know, there are times when people will do things, you know, not my friends, because I've caught a lot of things of my life, you know, when people will do things to me, and I'll be like, I'm never doing this again. I'm never trusting anybody. I'm never, you know, never. And some of my friends will be like, no, you can't let people change who you are. You understand? Right. And so we need to also be careful about that. Don't let people turn you into something that God has not created you to be. You know, don't let them change you. So that is why more and more I need that spirit of discernment, so I can make sure that if you don't need to come into my inner circle, or I need to put you at bay, you know. So those kind of things. So recently, I mean, this used to happen to me a lot in the past, but now, because of that spirit of discernment, I've been able to understand that, you know, I don't need you near me. And I just don't keep that friendship if I know that, you know, you're somebody who is going to kill me while my eyes are looking at you. You know?
Okay.
Yeah.
Gary says he agrees with Nevo about the first point you made about women rivalry and also ethics and all that. Yeah, he agrees with you very much. And Edith says, do you think it's something everyone has experienced? Listen, I know I have, but I'm the host, so I can't talk about my experience like that. I'll leave my guests to talk about it, but trust me, there are a lot of things that I could talk for ages about this sort of experiences.
I think a lot of people have experienced, I'm sure the majority have experienced that and none.
Yes.
You know, I've had to do a lot of pruning, you know, over time. And in fact, pruning and hacking off and digging out from the roots, you know, things like that. There are some people that I have kept at bay, and if I must see them, then I will see them. But other than that, I won't engage.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so there are times when you need to sort of forget about the people pleasing side, which we've all done to an extent. You just I mean, I remember the first time I said no to a beastly creature who was in my circle, and it was so freeing, and they were actually so stunned that I actually said no, and actually didn't argue, just said okay. And I thought to myself, so it's this easy.
So you could have done that a long time ago.
Why have I been, killing myself and making myself small and doing all those sort of things? And we've all experienced, to
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, let's. Yeah. Thank you so much, Tessie, for joining. Hi, lovely house. Hi to you too, my sweet big sis, and happy new month to you. Okay. The other question, I think we've answered this question kind of like before, so we might not go too much into it, but have you experienced jealousy or comparison from another woman? Like, and how did it affect you? So we can just give one point, because I know we've talked about this already. So we can move on to the other question. I'm looking at the time. Nicole.
I was thinking about a particular example in a previous team I managed where there was a young woman, promising young woman, and I had actually gone to bat for her with a previous manager to get her performance appraisal upgraded. So this was someone I was kind of looking at having them step into my role eventually and all of that. So it was quite interesting because, and again, you've got to listen to what people say, what they do. So this was someone I'm, trying to develop and get the training opportunities. And my ethos around my team is, I want the opportunities for you, because I know some managers, they try to suppress. I'm not like that, because it's about succession planning. I want you to be able to step into my role so I can move on. And, I am confident enough in myself and my abilities where I don't need you, in the words of Toni Morrison, to be on your knees so I can stand tall. And, so I'm trying to coach her along and work with her. And she said something to me that was flattering and slightly alarming, because she said, oh, I see how you conduct yourself in these meetings, and also these meetings where I may be the only senior black woman in the room, or black person in the room, and I want to be you, which is not necessarily unflattering or anything like that, but the way she said it, and then some behaviors started emerging after that, where, remember, this is someone I'm working with, and she would try to undermine me in meetings. So you want to be me, but you want to erase me in the process. So it was some kind of behaviors, and you wanted to be me and you wanted to step into my role, but you weren't quite ready. And there were even some instances where I said, well, I had to point out some things that she should have known. So some of the fundamentals were missing, but you want to run at full tilt before you get a steady jog. And so as I moved on from that role and I was moving on, and she said to me, do you mentor? Because she wanted me to mentor her. And I turned it down. I said, well, which was the truth. I do mentor. I have other mentees, and right now I'm at capacity, and that won't be possible. But this was someone had the flags, and the lights not been blinking. I would have been happy to mentor her, because I want you to get to that level. But then you're trying to, it was the undermining behavior and all of that. And you can admire someone without trying to
be them.
Yeah, well,
or take over their life.
Yes, and make them look, in an unfavorable light.
Yeah.
To be them. So I want to be you, but I want you gone. So it was a very interesting dynamic.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Let's move on to the other. I think you've all answered that already, right? About the Yeah.
Yeah, but more or
Okay.
less, yeah. I think that's
Okay.
sufficient, yeah.
Okay. So let's talk about this then. This mean girl thing. Is the mean girl dynamic something we outgrow, or something we just learn to mask when we start growing up? You have those mean girls, even in school those days, secondary schools or primary schools, they just want to be like the bullies and stuff like that. And they carry it into adulthood for whatever reason. Now, is this something that we outgrow? Is it something that's actually, I think is learned, actually? I think it's something that you learn, because I don't think everybody is born to be that mean.
Mhm.
Maybe your environment, or what you see your parents doing, or other things, or other people, or whatever. But is this something that we learn or we outgrow?
Well,
Neville.
I think people can grow out of it, hopefully, because once you get to maturity and then understand that, this whole thing is just complete and utter hogwash and nastiness, then you will step out of it, because people have been conditioned, as we mentioned in the first with the first question. Is your environment is the thing? Is how you were brought up, and also people who have come from a place of serious lack, thinking that they can, for them to gain something, they needed to sort of be mean to other people, they needed to snatch, they needed to do all that, and that without the understanding that two people can have the same things, we use them differently. There's not going to be a shortage. So we can outgrow that once we get to maturity and understand ourselves better. Some people mask that, and then it seeps out, from time to time. I think, Nicole, the story you were telling, I'm sure that the person whom you were coaching at the time, she probably has those things, and then it's seeped out by, I want to be you. Instead of, oh, I would love to be like you, I'd love to learn what you know, and da 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 da, speak, thinking, and the way we use words and things, it's very, very unhelpful, especially, culturally. It's a terrible thing. Some people will say things are not actually meaning to have the impact they're having, but because they have no idea how to sort of say them,
Yeah.
yeah. So this mean girl business, we can in short, we can outgrow it if we want to. And some people are masking. We all have masks of sorts. I'll just leave it there.
Okay, thank you. Cindy?
Yes, the mean girl thing also can come from a place of abuse. If you've been
Okay.
abused,
Hurt people hurt people.
yeah, if you've been abused and that's the way you've been treated growing up, you become like that. And it's something that sometimes you outgrow it depending on how your life is, the path that you take, because sometimes people take the right path, and sometimes they meet people, the people you meet along the way can also impact you as well and change you. And if you meet the wrong people, you get worse instead of getting better, and you never change, So these things, there's so many factors to it. And the mean girls thing is like, you see people who in public, you be the butt of their joke. They will say they're joking, but they're really being mean to you. You understand? I don't think, if you love somebody, if you like somebody, you don't make them the joke of the public.
Yeah.
So don't do that, because you're being mean. So how do you want, how do you think that person is feeling? You don't care about the person's feeling. All you're doing is, it makes you look good. And these people, they do it thinking it makes them look cool. They are the loudest in the crowd. You'll notice that they are the loudest. They make a lot of noise. Everybody must hear them. I'm around, the cool babe. I'm sorry, you're not the cool babe. You are the nasty babe.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Oh, Benice, thank you so much for joining. Thank you. You say hi, everyone. Interesting discussion. Yes, and I hope you're enjoying it so far. Please feel free to contribute, your thoughts to this discussion. Lady Winnet. Oh, Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much. You said, indeed, no one should ever feel compelled to change who God created them to be. Yet, in honoring that truth, we must also learn to guard our minds, serving God with discernment and wisdom. Here, we totally agree with you. Nicole, any more comments before I move on to the next question? I'm looking at the time.
I was thinking that, this mean girl, and again, I've mainly experienced that in the workplace, that behavior, because in my personal life, I'm not gonna have it. You won't be around me for long if you're a mean girl. But society, and when I look at social media, and that behavior is encouraged, and unfortunately, I'm seeing that being encouraged a lot. Amongst women of African descent. What show came to mind? I don't really watch those shows, but the Real Housewives series, Real
Oh,
Housewives
yeah.
of
Ooh.
Atlanta, and, so that's Mean Girl personified,
Mm-hmm.
and this is something that gets ratings and views, tearing each other down. So it's really counterproductive, but that is something that is lauded by society, and also coming back, making that full rotation to the point about scarce resources. Not only are there fewer women in exec roles or top positions, but um, feminine traits, or I mean, typically feminine traits, are not encouraged at those levels. So, for you to be moving up the ladder, I know that's changing a bit, but you had to be a ball breaker, basically. You had to be
Yeah.
a tough, and
Yeah.
so that is a mean girl. And
Mm-hmm.
and if you look at, again, the stats on people who advance to senior levels, a lot of them are borderline sociopaths.
Mm-hmm.
There's a high level of sociopathy amongst senior execs, because you have to have a level of ruthlessness
Yeah.
and
To be able to
meanness
get there.
to be able to
Absolutely.
get there. But I
Mm-hmm.
always think, that's not my way. And yes, I can be focused, I can be direct, I can be tough, but I don't need to be mean. But some people see it that way. Again, the resources,
Yeah.
right? It's almost resource guarding, which is what a
Yeah.
lot of animals do.
Sorry, I
Let me
need
give
to
it.
say something quickly,
Mhm.
before it's around this topic. You said something about, our social media and all this whatever housewives have, propagate.
Yes.
My comment now is to parents who have girls. We need to not let our girls become like that.
Mm,
We need to keep an eye on our girls, because there's a difference between being confident and bold, and being confident, bold, and being mean.
mm,
Mean is different.
Absolutely.
Being confident and being bold and being direct is different. You
mm.
can be direct and be mindful of other people's feelings and their heart. You need to treat people the way you want to be treated. So
That's
parents need
it.
to keep their girls in check.
That's right. That's right. Thank you for that. Let me quickly take these comments from my beautiful co-host in the chats. Yongyin, hello, beautiful Yongyin. She says, hello, beautiful ladies. We say hello to you too, girlfriend. She says, yes, at Cindy was about to say the same thing or the same. It could be issues that we have that have occurred from their backgrounds. Yes, and late night vibes with Ina and Cece. Ina, darling, thank you so much for joining. She says, well done, ladies. Amaka, my darling. Amaka says, I think the main girl dynamic is also driven by insecurity. Absolutely. And an opportunity for the person to maintain dominance over someone or in a group. Sometimes they use it to seek attention or be noticed. Exactly. Especially when, like I said, it stems from how they grew up, or even they themselves, they have this complex. People that actually feel inferior sometimes are the ones that try to project their inferiority complex in that way to make themselves feel better about themselves. It's just as simple as that. Young says, unfortunately, some women don't know how much of main baggages they are carrying around with them. It takes looking inside. Here. Mercy said, Mercy, that darling, thank you so much for joining my Mercy. She says, some of us were naive in understanding some women who may pretend to be friends, are jealous, and you don't see it until you see their obvious patterns. If you're true to who and how God created you to be, yeah. I mean, like I said, I'm not even never go on because I
No,
can't even begin
because
to tell you stories.
thank you. Yeah, because of what this messes comments. I am an only girl and the last, so I grew up amongst
Yeah, me
guys.
too.
So I did not understand the women's patterns until it was very, very late when hard things happened to me, were done to me by people whom I thought were friends.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it was a revelation because I couldn't quite. I almost broke down. You know, and
Yeah.
having growing up with men, I felt comfortable talking to men. So when you're outside, and because when you talk to, well, I found when speaking to men and you're talking to them as normal, not twiddling your hair or doing your eye,
Mm.
or they're kind of quite relaxed, and then you're engaging. But people
Mm.
saw that as flirtatious. I was just having a conversation with somebody, and
Mm.
being interested in somebody's the topic of conversation and having proper engagement, it riled a lot of people, especially when we went out in the past. And I was like, what are you on about? I was just having a conversation.
Mm.
And fast forward, and then things like you do something like a job, or you get something. Oh, I've been trying to do that for ages. How come you just got it?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't just get it.
Secret jealousy. Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
worked. It's okay for you. Yeah, you can just go and you have a face, and they will just no. That may be something first initially, but when the door opens, I have to do the work. Because if I don't do the work, I'll get spat out. I'll get thrown out in
Right.
disgrace.
That's right. But they don't understand that, do they? Ceci says sometimes it's up. I guess you were trying to say it's up your upbringing as well.
Yes.
So yeah, their environment, how they grew up, and everything.
Mm.
Okay, so if you could say one thing to a woman who resents you right now, what would it be? What would you say to that woman who resents you? Nicole, no, Cindy.
I'll tell them to get a life. I'm taking a walk. I'm taking a walk. I've gone, you can sit down and say or do whatever you want to do. I can remember the days when I used to be very timid, and in the past I was quite timid. I
Mm.
lacked confidence. I wouldn't open my mouth in the midst of friends. This was when I
Mm.
was growing up. But I came to realize that for me to be able to thrive and for me to be able to do what God has called me to do, I need to not care about what people think or say about me, because you can never satisfy any human being. So
Mm-hmm.
why do I need to kill myself or bother myself about your opinion? I don't care, as long as, number one, I don't do anything illegitimate and I don't do anything that is against the will of God.
Mm-hmm.
So why should I bother? I've taken a walk, so do whatever you want to do.
You
Yeah.
took the words right out of my mouth. I was going to say also, get a life.
To get a
Get a
life.
life.
I will mind my
Yeah.
business. I am not hurting anyone. I'm not killing anybody. I'm not doing
Yeah.
anything, negative. I'm not doing illegal stuff. I'm not doing anything, da da
Yeah.
da. So please get a life.
Because we need to
Mind your business,
mature. We need to mature.
seek help, sort your mind out.
Yeah.
And I would say, we all have to run our own race. And I learned that quite early on in my teens. And I think it was a hard lesson, but that prepared me for later years, because my mother always used to say, you have to run your own race. And the expression we have, where horse reach, donkey, I'll keep it PG, donkey will reach. And so she used to tell me these things, and I'm like, what is she on about? The race is not for the swift. You've got to run your own race. And I had that experience as a teenager. I was around 13, 14, and one of my classmates, she seemed to have it all. She had two other sisters, one older, one younger, and they were the popular girls, and they were, all the teenage boys liked them, and their parents were, they were well off. Their parents were seemingly happily married, and I thought to myself, she has it all. If only I could, have all, everything like that. And would you believe? And I actually went to, I was invited to the older sister's birthday party, and I had to negotiate hard to be able to stay a bit late. But and it was soon after that that her sister committed suicide at the age of 15.
Wow.
And I went to an all girls Anglican high school, so she was a year above. The sister was my year, and then one below, and
Wow.
it was shocking. It was shocking. This person who had it all, you know, she ended her life at
Yeah.
her prime, not even reaching up, in her teenage years at the age of 15 or 16. And that was a wake-up call, because you don't know what's going on
All that
in
glitters is not
people's
gold.
lives.
Mm-hmm.
So what what you're seeing on the outside, oh, it's fantastic, and they're the ideal couple, and you don't know. So you have to focus on you, and not not what's over the fence and what are they doing, because everybody's situation is unique. And
Mm-hmm.
I after that I was like, I don't even want to be remotely envious of anyone, because I don't know what's going on in their life, because
Yeah.
so it's about, and again, focusing, as Cindy and Neville have said, focusing on yourself and not looking at what others are doing. And the words of the desert are to stick with me. If you compare yourself with others, you'll become vain or bitter, because you'll always be greater and lesser. So don't
Exactly.
compare. Just focus on you. And that's why I said earlier, I'm competing against myself primarily.
That's right.
And in terms of the circle, you want to be surrounded by people who will help you elevate your game, but in a healthy way. Oh, I really like what this was. And I want to be like you, but I don't want to be you to erase you. You're inspiring me. You're making me,
A better
bring
person.
myself a better person, bring myself up a level or multiple levels. But I don't want it at the expense of erasing you or undermining you or destroying you. So that's where the healthy part comes in.
Yes. Yes. Cindy?
Can I? Yeah, I was going to say something. When people say, I want to be like you, I learned when I was in the university never to say, I want to be like anybody. I want to be like who God
Wants me
ordained
to
for
be.
me to become. Because if you say you want to be like me, I always ask them, are you ready to go through everything that I have gone through in life?
Mm-hmm.
Because for you to get to where I am, wanting to become like me, you are ready to go through all the suffering, all the humiliation, all the shame. Whatever I have gone through, you want to go through it. So don't ever say you want to be like somebody.
Very true.
Just pray that God's God's purpose in your life be fulfilled, that you'll be able to fulfill it, and it should give you the grace and the strength to be able to walk in it and to fulfill that calling in your life.
True.
Absolutely.
True. Neville. Yeah. Anything else from Neville
No,
before
no,
we
I
go on
just
to
said
the next?
absolutely.
Okay.
That even
Perfect.
wanting to be like you, because it's like you don't know what somebody's like. You don't know what they're going through. When I
Yeah.
was, going through treatment for breast cancer, I went, I was on my way to the hospital. I came out of a tube station. I was, dressed up because they said cover yourself, blah blah blah, because of radiotherapy. So I had my big hat on. It was midsummer. I had sunglasses. I had, the thing. So I looked like I was even on the, Promenade des Anglais in, Nice, just parading, the thing.
In
But
the wrong way somewhere.
exactly, and and people were looking at me, and I'm thinking, huh. Once it dawned on me that they were looking in admiration, I thought, gosh, these guys have no idea what's going on in my life right now. But they're looking at me and saying, oh, yes, of course, the items I put together, they're quite impactful. But on their own, they're like in a hat and sunglasses.
Yeah.
But, the combination was impactful. Fine. Okay, fine. I
Yeah.
give them that. But they had no idea. So that's, again, I learned this not wanting to be like somebody quite a number of years ago. I mean, it came out, I just said, if sort of that woman to say I wanted to be like that. That was not exactly what I meant. Yes, in being like you. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
So,
Gary
yeah.
says here seems to be a general consensus of opinions from hosts, although a difference of character and approach, albeit a great topic for discussion. Yeah, I mean, what if you feel that there is something that we haven't looked at, Gary, or that you think you want to draw our attention to it? That's why you're a co-host, in the chat. Just drop it in the chat and we talk about it. Yeah. And Yonyi says, I find that a lot of women are very insecure, which is true. Maureen says, 100% Cindy. they should get a life. Should go get a life. And Mercy says, I'd say to that woman who carry on as you are feasting at my you are feasting at my God's prepared table. So thank you. And it's true. When the Bible says that prepares the table before me in the presence of my enemies. Exactly,
Exactly.
exactly. And you says, exactly, you never know what people are going through. Yep. And she continues and she says, and I realize some people are reacting from what they are going through
Yeah.
and come across rather bitchy. It's true. It's true. Some people are just mean and nasty and everything. But sometimes it's because of what they're going through, and that's the only way they can vent their frustration. So that's why I always try to excuse people and make apologies for people. Like when I get that mean behavior or character or whatever, I just say to myself, "You're probably having a bad day, or probably I'm not going to, allow you to. So okay, I block you. I'm just gonna create that space not to allow that energy or whatever, because whatever you're going through, I'm not going to make it worse. So you do you, girl. And Robin says, at Cindy, exactly. Concentrate on being the best version of you, as the show says. Not someone else. Yes, you can get advice from others on how they achieved what they did, but that's it. Focus on the positives. 100% Robin. And Yonya says, but yes, for me, my words to any woman is to look at yourself and learn to love yourself. Know yourself, develop yourself, and master yourself to be the best version of yourself. You guys are just singing my theme song to this. I hear you. And Rita says, Riri, thank you so much. She says, a woman will always be a woman. But my advice is that to be content with what you have. And thank God, instead of comparing yourself to others, considering that everyone has their own destiny. It's true. Thank you so much, Colin, for joining. Colin says, hi, everyone. Maureen
Hello,
says,
Colin.
there are loads of women out there living a fake life. Hey, all in the name of trying to belong to a certain class of people. Maureen, you are preaching to the choir. Seriously, I could not agree with you more. You're so right. Amaka says, Nicole's story resonates with me. So I'll seek an honest conversation to understand their problem. There may be some unmet needs or past experiences that might have contributed to their feelings. 100%. And Lady Winnet says, I would also add that it is essential to remember that each of us is born with a unique purpose and a mission to fulfill. Let us focus on our energy. Let's focus our energy on discovering and embracing that purpose. And Gary says, if someone says they would like to be like you, that's purely a compliment. Just take it or accept it. In some cases,
And so,
yes, but in all cases, Nicole's story about having a subordinate who says, I want to be like you, I experienced exactly the same thing. I was giving her an appraisal. I said to her, so, how can I help you develop in terms of, your personal development, in terms of your skill set and everything? And where would you like to be in maybe in the next 1 or 2 years with this company? And she said to me, I want to be where you are. And I'm thinking to myself, you want to be where I am? Then where am I going to be now? You want to be where I am, Hopefully it will be like I'll be promoted. But she was so audacious about it. And she actually started going out of her way to, like, exactly what Nicole went through, to try to undermine me. But everybody saw through it. And
thank
it kind
God.
of made her, because people saw through it, she now felt really embarrassed. And, she left herself. But, there are people like that. And Mercy says the only thing is to strive to be Christ-like in character and Christ-minded. If you do that, a lot of things don't shake you for too long, and some things may shake. What did Christ not go through? Absolutely, he went through a lot. Edith says there is nothing wrong with aspiring to be like someone you
Yeah.
admire, as long as you are not
Absolutely not.
envious.
Exactly.
Absolutely. And Robin says, also remember that everyone is a mess. True. Yeah, everyone's got issues. Yeah. They may look elegant like a swan on the surface, but padding like mad through. They're just paddling like mad
Mm.
through. So, so why be jealous of others? Paddlings.
Paddlings,
It's
yes,
true.
yes. We
It's
are
true.
all work. I want to
We
say,
are all work in progress.
uh,
We are
that's
all
it.
work in
Yeah.
progress. Honestly, I agree with all my co-hosts in the chats. Thank you so much. So, what are some of the silent signs then of envy or rivalry that we normally would ignore? Are there signs that you've experienced that you just thought, oh, maybe she's just having a bad day? It doesn't matter. I know, Nicole, you've shared yours
Mm.
because that lady that said, I want to be like you.
No, she said,
Never,
sorry, just to clarify, she said, I want to be you.
Be you.
I
It's
want to
not
be
that,
you. Yeah,
I'd like to gain your knowledge, your
yeah.
expertise, and I'd want to be able to have your composure in,
Mhm,
these senior meetings. I want to
mhm.
be you.
You. Hmm.
So I'm like, how are you going to do that?
Hmm.
You know? So it's
Yeah.
Yeah.
almost coming back to that, it's an old movie. Is it single white female? I don't know if
Uh,
and remember what happened?
Horror.
Bit by bit, she turned herself into that person.
yeah,
Change her hairstyle, change this, change that. So it's imitation. They say is the best form of flattery. One can
But
debate that,
not
but
not that to that
but
level.
not in a vicious, envious,
yeah, yeah,
spiteful, vindictive,
yeah, yeah,
narcissistic
exactly.
way. Yeah,
And
yeah.
I think those people, those who do that sort of copying, their minds are warped,
Hmm.
because what makes you think that, having the same hairstyle, the same dress, the same everything as the next person who in your mind is successful will make you successful? It is your
Yeah,
character. It's the thing I mentioned before, good looking beauty or whatnot. It opens doors. But once you get in there, what do you bring out? Is it
exactly.
toxins or is it, glorious? Sort of thing.
Absolutely. 100%.
Yeah.
Mercy
So
says she's not a mess, so she says, I'm not a mess, so I'm a message overcoming.
you know
Yes, girl. Preach.
we are work in progress.
We are work
The,
in progress.
the
The Lord is working on us every day.
exactly every single person. There's no one who is, reached anything or attained. They may have reached something in something, but other areas of life, there's work to be done. There's always work
There's
to be
still
done.
work to be done.
There's
We are
no
every day we
pretty
try to
pie on
become
the
a
bone.
best version of ourselves. Every single
Exactly.
day, we're just trying to become who God wants us to be. So, yeah, Mercy, you are not a mess. You are a message that's overcoming. I hear you.
Yeah,
And
hey.
Robin agrees. Robin says you are God's child, Mercy. Absolutely. We are all God's children. Hmm? Okay, let me quickly go to the next one. So, how can women genuinely support each other when the system seems to reward competition?
Hmm.
I mean, while we're talking about system in terms of our workplace, systems in the society as a general, in general, society, social media, and everything. How can we support each other when everybody expects us? Because people thrive on seeing people fight. They
Yes.
thrive on those sort of negativity.
Mhm.
How can we change that? And that's the whole point of this show. It's not just about talking about all the problems, but how
Exactly.
can we resolve and make sure these sort of things don't happen again? How can we?
I,
Neville? Yeah.
I think we just kind of, need to see the good in ourselves and in other people. After going through the horrors that I went through, it was women that actually picked me up. I didn't
Mhm.
understand that that could ever be possible. I never understood that that could ever be possible because I left the sort of circle that I was in
Mhm.
and then began to just operate by myself and go out by myself. And I met women in sort of networking spaces who saw good
Mhm.
in me, who listened to me without interrupting or
Mhm.
talking over me as I was always used to.
Mhm.
And, you know, I think the first few times I actually, the first time, excuse me.
Mhm. Okay. Sorry about that, guys. Yonyi says exactly we are not perfect. And she says and she agrees with what we are saying on the chat. And Mercy says, do what you're doing now and call it out. Yeah, yeah, that's what we're doing now. So even on the chat, guys, how can we change this also? If you've got any suggestions, please drop them in the chat because somebody else is going
Yeah.
to be watching the show later and they would have you know, they will learn from those comments that you make, because guys, you know, you're my co-host, so I need your comments as well in the chat. Thank you. Nevo, please continue.
Yeah, so excuse me, sorry public about this interruption. Yeah. So when I went out to networking by myself, because I thought, what could I lose? You know, what was there to lose? I needed to go somewhere where I could, you know, see like-minded people. And women actually helped me, you know, pulled me up and directed me and shared things with me. For the first time, I met people who were not afraid to share what they were doing with me. And that blew my mind, because I was always used to, as we established, you know, from the beginning, that competition, that space where people are always competing, which I wasn't, you know, fond of that sort of, you know, behavior. But I found myself in those areas and I was diminished. So to enter a place where people looked at you, they heard you, they listened, they understood what you were saying for the first time and actually directed, that was for me mind-blowing. So for me, what I look out for now when I meet people who have, you know, clearly been traumatized or are lost, I, you know, do my best to try to help them. But I have, you know, found myself in a situation before where, so this case of be careful who you try to help. When I tried to help somebody and they thought they would stand on my head to get to the thing, but I was trying to help you. Okay. And so is that, I think somebody mentioned earlier how to, you know, guard yourself and your mind and your space. I had to learn that very, very quickly. You know?
Okay, so thank you.
How to help is just to be open. Well, choose the person you know, try to help. That's it.
That's where the discernment comes in as well, choosing the right person.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, Cindy.
Yeah. It should come from a place of sincerity and honesty as well, you know. And one thing for me, because unless we all want to deceive ourselves, I will say something. For me, nobody can say they've never had a feeling of jealousy or envy growing up about other people. I have been like that before. I remember when I was in secondary school, into early years of university, I used to be so envy, as in real jealousy. And it was God that delivered me. You know, I had to start. So what I did was that once I start seeing that ugly head of jealousy rearing its head in my mind, what I do is that the person I'm jealous about, I now go out of my way to make sure that what I'm jealous about is what I help them to achieve. Because that way, that ugly devil will suppress his head. And that was how I was able to overcome jealousy and, you know, being jealous of other people or envious of other people, that I came to a place where I became confident of myself and believed in myself and not have to look at other people to be able to achieve or live my life. You know, so it's something that we have to stop bickering about each other. Stop, you know, when people come to you and start talking about other women, if you are somebody who listens to such things, you will be a garbage can for those kind of things. But if you're somebody, when people start downloading things to you and you're like, please, why are you doing this? You know, when you question it, they won't come back to you to talk about these things. But if you keep receiving it, you'll be the garbage can. They will keep coming back to you. Different people will come to you. You know, so I try to avoid listening I avoid listening to this kind of garbage. Because I mean, it's like women, we need to stop, you know, bickering about each other, bitching over each other, and, you know, just messing each other up. And when we're in public, you know, trying to shame somebody or trying to mirror somebody, and at the same time you are mirroring this person and you are running them down, you know. And then women who try to step on other people to thinking they have to step on other people to achieve what they can achieve. You know, we need to stop that. We need to be deliberate about it. If it's something you can't control, pray, ask God for help, ask God for counseling, you know, ask, you know, people who have overcome this thing, ask them to help you. If you're honest, and when people come to meet us as well, we need to not run them down and say, oh, so you are like this. No, when people come to you honestly, please help them. don't make them feel inadequate. Don't make them feel small, because they already strip themselves of their dignity coming to meet you for help, and then you're now adding insult to injury. We shouldn't do that. No matter what kind of help, when people come to you for help, women, when we come to each other, let us help each other. Let us understand where this person is coming from. What is triggering this thing? What, let us be honest with it. And then don't let us make them a topic for gossip after they come to meet you. Don't take their stories around that. Oh, that person, do you know her? She came to meet me. She told me, no, that shouldn't. We should minimize these things. We are getting, especially older women, we are mature, and we should overcome this kind of behavior and help each other.
All the other ones that do Christianese, and they will say, oh, sister so and so, she said this, she's going through this. Let's pray for her. Oh.
Yes.
Let's pray for her because she this one, that one, and the other, whatever. And you're thinking, what? Like, you're supposed to be somebody confided in you. Then you take it to another group of women because all in the name of let's pray for her. Your brother's like,
if I need you to pray for me, I'll take you to a prayer group.
Can you imagine? But Molly says, start with self-love, which can now radiate to others in a positive way. And Yoyin says, we should start by not having a judgmental attitude. And Gary says, Nevo, can you send a copy of that picture behind you, please? Woman with a book.
Interesting.
Okay, Gary.
So,
is that what you're more interested in than what we're saying?
Cleopatra, the question, the answer is kind of in the question, right?
Yeah.
How can women begin to genuinely support? So
that's right.
Got to be genuine. And just to touch upon some of the things that Cindy and Neville said, we need to uplift rather than undermine.
That's right.
We need to share knowledge and resources because, again, we see what's going on in the wider global picture. And resources are scarce, but that doesn't mean we can't all eat. And there needs to be a bit of a paradigm shift as well. And I say this from the perspective of someone, in corporate, being for the past decade or so, being the only one of the few, and trying to see more faces like mine in these rooms, because it can get very hostile in these rooms when you're the only one. Even though I hold my own, I will say that. But so sharing those, the knowledge and resources, mentoring each other, developing each other, being able to call upon each other, and building that network. So, from a professional standpoint, I've got a network of people I could call to help. So, and also being sincere and honest, and that may mean getting feedback that you don't quite want to hear, but you need to hear. And so it's not all going to be sunshine and roses, and you want those people in your circle who will pull you aside and say, hey, you didn't handle that well. And I've had that. I've had people say, oh, what happened there? You're not usually like that. You did not handle yourself to the best ability in that meeting at all, or something like that. And it's not what I want to hear, but it's reflection.
But they make sense, yeah.
So you don't want yes people in your life, right? And there've been cases where, be it social media or otherwise, you ask yourself, does this person have any friends? They let this person go out like that. They let them behave this way. And I mean, there are instances that have far-reaching consequences. I know we all heard the story a couple months back in the Dominican Republic, was it? A university student went on holiday with a group of friends, supposed friends, and she disappeared. I don't know if you remember that story.
No, I didn't hear about it.
It was in the media, and I think that they find the body. And then everyone was saying, well, were those really her friends? Because they let her go off with a total stranger she met in the Dominican Republic. Young university students. But, I know when I went out with my friends, we all came together. We all left.
Yeah.
We would be, circling the wagon. Oh, where's so-and-so? We are all leaving together. So no man or woman left behind. So it's all about bringing each other up And leaning in, and I say this because I'm trying to lean in more, calling upon that emotional intelligence. And it's easier said than done as I'm learning.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But I'm like, I need to develop my emotional intelligence, particularly in the situations I'm in, where it's how do I put people who step out of line, put them in their place professionally, right? Because again, when you're the only, there are a lot of dynamics at play. And how do I manage my responses, my reactions? How do I deal? So that emotional intelligence is really key, and it's not something you have to work at it. Some people may have it more than others, but you've got to work and develop that. So
right.
we need to uplift each other, and we also need to think about. I mentioned shifting that paradigm in terms of building our own, and I say this particularly for the African diaspora, is going to become more and more critical. And we see some things happening in Burkina Faso and some other, it's a paradigm shift.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Amaka says women can support one another through collaboration by encouraging the exchange of our ideas. They should learn to celebrate each other's achievements, be an ally, stand up and support one another. Definitely. Edith says, well said, Cindy. Sometimes they need help. Okay, very, very true. And Yonyi says, um, also, some of us attract negative energy without realizing.
Yeah.
So going into fellowship with an open mind helps. It gives room for openness, transparency, and might even give the other person room for expression when healing can then take place, or where healing can then take place. So I think we need to be patient with one another. That way we can uplift one another.
Yeah.
Wow.
Kind of.
And Gary agrees and says, great point. Yeah, with everyone.
Yeah, learning to be vulnerable as well, because I think, of course, in the right setting, we have to protect ourselves, because coming from that sort of, environment where there's that competition and then there's that, no, I am so strong and powerful. I am, no, I don't need the help. I don't need anything. That also, is quite damaging, plays into this competition thing as well, and attempting to dominate and whatnot, and doesn't leave room for healing. Okay, and hopefully we arrive at the places where we feel safe, enough to be vulnerable so that we can receive help.
Yeah, totally. Thank you so much. Okay, one last question before I kind of like round up. What are three practical things every woman can do today to break this cycle and build real sisterhood? Cindy?
Yeah, well, I'll say for me, it should start from home. We start with our immediate circle. Start from your family, start from your children, start from your sister, and then expand to your friends. And we need, and if one person starts and then it infects other people, and then we start breaking that cycle, it will take time.
Yeah.
Because the damage has really been, the damage has been done. Sorry, my laptop is running out of battery. I need to put, so so the damage has been done. So it will take time for us to break that cycle. So we start, is a process. 10 years down the line, we start seeing things start changing, because you'll see, and then the media needs to stop the rubbish they put on TV. Because it's the social media and the media that encourages this rubbish. You have the whatever of Housewives. I don't watch those things. Love Island or whatever they call it. Big Brother and all, and they thrive on the negativity. They thrive on the antagonism. They thrive on
doesn't it?
Yeah, they thrive on those things, on those jealousies. And people, what they are doing is that they are normalizing this behavior.
Yeah.
That's what has happened over the years. They became normal behavior, just like we have fake news today. Now there's so many, even our leaders are telling lies that would send the dead out of their grave. So it's like we need a lot of behavior has been normalized. So once the moment we start breaking this thing from our inner circle and to our wider circle, things will improve. At least it's
Amen.
going to take time.
Yep. Michelle, I'm sorry, I told Michelle. Nicole.
I would say a lot of it I've said previously, right? So the you know that emotional intelligence is key. Self-regulation, putting your empathy, putting yourself in others' shoes, leading with kindness. But kindness does not mean weakness, which some people
This is
tend to
true.
think I'm kind, but I'm not weak. Um, yeah, and just focusing on yourself. So, building yourself, because you can't build others up unless you've done some
Yeah.
development within yourself as well.
Yeah.
Because you
Yeah.
need to be in a good position, a good stable position
That's
to be
right.
able to help others. So it's just focusing internally, and then you can, with defined boundaries, you can help others.
Okay. Thank you. Neville.
Yes, I mean, again, one of the things said, um, work on yourself, focus on yourself to, iron out the kinks, and then have people who have your best interest at heart.
The heart.
Surround yourself with positive people, okay, and learn to say no to bad behavior. Don't be afraid to remove yourself from situations that are unhelpful to you, that are deleterious to your life,
Mm.
and do the things that make you happy, as long as it doesn't put others in danger.
That's
You're
right.
not
That's
disgracing
right.
yourself. You're not disgracing yourself in the process. You're not, causing, because once you are a happy human being, you become more attractive. Attractiveness is all things. It can be, beautiful face, whatever, but I, attractive heart.
Should come from within even.
Oh my
That's more
God.
important.
It is
That's more
something. If
important.
if you have a good aesthetic and you have a fantastically attractive heart, my God, you are unstoppable.
That's right. That's right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Let me take this comment quickly from Rita and some other people. Rita says it's good to support one another, and even more important, if they engage. Because some people you might even want to support them, but they're not
Yeah.
even willing to, they don't want your help. They
Yes.
think they're, okay in their nice little world,
Yes.
even though they are causing more harm than good. Never?
Exactly. The one thing about that I learned as well, because it is the help needs to come at the right time. Because when I
Mm-hmm.
look back at myself as well, at the point where I realized now some people wanted to help, I was not in the space. I wasn't ready. I didn't
Right.
recognize it. Okay. And they
Okay.
too were impatient or did not explain them, because some of them came across quite hostile.
Mm.
So of course, if somebody is coming to you with, what feels to you like daggers and knives and forks, you are like,
You
I'm not
switch off.
hearing, I can't see, you will run
Yeah.
away.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Okay. Benny says, thank you to the panel. Charity does begin at home, but if the foundation be destroyed, then what can the righteous do? Here, Benice. And Robin says, at Neville, definitely read people who make you happy. I would go one further and just surround yourself with people who laugh and make you laugh, even in tough times. 1,000,000%. And Gary says, I understand. I love that. Love that. And Gary says, I understand one's worth. So number one, understand one's worth. Number two,
takes
help
time.
raise the spirits of others. Number three, to emphasize the fact that the Black African woman is the strongest and most beautiful people on earth. Fact. I know, darling. I know. Thank you, Gary. We love that. Everything you said is 100% correct. And Mercy says, thank you, hosts, panel, and all who contributed. God bless you all and keep you under his protection as he continues to enlarge your territory. Amen. And
Amen.
Benin says, we need to be
The B.
comfortable in our own skin. Seek help if needed, and don't be afraid to say no if it hurts or it's going to hurt you. What can I say? Wow. Wow, guys. What a show. Cindy, Nicole, Nevo, thank you so much. Honestly, it's been an amazing, I've enjoyed myself thoroughly. I thank you for your honesty, your vulnerability, and your power. Honestly, you have really, there's a lot to really unpack that we've done tonight. Let's do this, right? If there's rivalry amongst women, please, it's not natural. It's a thought thing. So you can unlearn it. If you have that attitude of rivalry, you can unlearn it because you learned it from somewhere. You can unlearn it. Jealousy often masks fear and insecurity, right? So if you're insecure or you're afraid and all that, it can come up as jealousy without you knowing that it's because you're insecure, right? Sisterhood is not a trend, right? It's not a trend.
It's life.
It's damaging. It's damaging. Honestly, guys, if we really say we are sisters and we're trying to be our sister's keeper, right? We need to remember that to call yourself, that you're a sister to somebody. It's a daily intentional choice you make to be a real sister, to support somebody, to hold them up. And if they fall in, I think Nicole said something earlier that, when you get to a place where you can take correction, and especially if it's coming from a place of love, it's not coming from a place of jealousy, because you can sense when somebody is actually trying to correct you, but they're saying it in a way that actually we can't receive it. That's not love. All right. So let's practice genuine sisterhood, as if you are my blood sister and I care about you in such a way that I want you to win, because together we win. Right. So let's what do we do next? What are the next steps? Let's acknowledge where we are wrong as ladies, and let's change, let's unlearn certain attitudes. Let's redefine success as a collective endeavor. It's not just an individual thing, all right? Because together we win, right? Let's celebrate each other. Another woman's win should be our win.
Our win.
And let's just learn to just celebrate each other that way. Let's cancel the silent rivalry that we have. This contract that we seem to have, like, and just honestly, let's cancel that and let's try to build each other by empowering each other, and let's create an alliance, actually, where we can just hold each other up, because when one woman rises, we all rise.
Mhm.
All right. So, like, guys, tag somebody that you know right now. Tell them why you admire them. Tag another woman. Send a message to them. Tell them why you love them, what you love about them. Let's build each other up, because that's how we start. Little seeds, we sow into each other's lives, can help us begin to build. All faces are not equal. All sizes are not equal. All skills and gifts that we have are not equal. But that's the beauty of life. Together, those differences, we celebrate them, we can actually make something beautiful out of it, right? So that's my 2 cents worth as well. But guys, if you've enjoyed this show, please share this episode with everybody. Put it in your group chats, in your circles, in your social contacts, and everything else. But most of all, like, just let's commit to creating a world where women are not threats, but we're teammates. Because empowered women, we don't compete, right? We collaborate.
Mhm.
We conquer together. We create change together. Right, guys? And guys, thank you so much once again. Thank you to my co-host for your amazing words of wisdom. My name is Cleopatra, and this is Empower Life with Cleopatra. Thank you so much for joining, guys. Have a wonderful weekend. Benny says we need to be comfortable in our own skin, seek help if needed, and don't be afraid to say no if it hurts or if it's going to hurt you. You said that, and we love you. Guys, thank you so much. Next week's show, trust me, you don't want to. I'm telling you now, You don't want to miss next week's show because this is a part one. We got part two and part three coming. There might even be a part. It's about women this time, okay? So, guys, thank you so much for joining. Maureen, thank you. Everyone, too numerous to mention. Thank you all so much for joining. I love you for joining. Thank you. Have a brilliant week. See you next week. Bye,
Thank
guys.
you for
Bye
having
for
me.
now.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
everyone.
Bye.
Empower life with Cleopatra. Awaken the best version of you. Unlock your true potential. Empower your mind, body, and soul. Live with intentions, live with a purpose. Empower your dreams, make it happen today. No matter your age, rise and shine. Live boldly, live authentically. It's your time to rise and shine. Empower life with Cleopatra. Awaken the best version of you. Your journey starts today. You've got one life to live. Love yourself, be kind to others, break free and let your spirit soar. Empower life with Cleopatra will help you awaken the best version of you.